All right, kids. Hello, fifth graders. Happy Thursday. A couple things I wanted to announce. First of all, the extension. I put an extension on the tessellation. I'm going to have it due on Monday. So that means a couple more days. If you want to work on it, make it nicer. If you're having trouble with it, you can kind of work on it more. I would say if you're struggling with it, like check out the bird pattern that I showed. That one's pretty easy to try to make, and it's very cool. Try that out. Second announcement, look for Khan Academy today. It will be up today, so you can do it today or tomorrow. We also have a task that we're going to talk about today. It's not the city, but I love the city view. So I wanted to show you this photo. I took this photo on Sunday evening on a bike ride down around Shed Aquarium. I was riding right next to Shed Aquarium, and I stopped, and the sunset was absolutely beautiful. I don't even think this photo quite captures it. Like the sky was so yellow down low, and this beautiful kind of fade to blue up top. It was great. So the reason I put it up there is because we live in a beautiful city, and I think it's important to kind of get out there and explore it. Like, look around your neighborhood, look around downtown, look around like in different parts, and even in some of the areas where you don't often find beauty, like down, like way down in the industrial areas with all the lift bridges and the boats and all that. Like, even those areas are awesome. Like, so kind of keep your eyes open as you're driving around, looking around. Like look around your environment, see what you got, see what's out there, because there's an awful lot of cool stuff to look at here in Chicago. The reason I want to show you this photo, I took it Sunday evening, and I'm a big cyclist, a bike like a road biker. Like I bike on the path or on the roads. And a road biker means I ride one of those pretty fast bikes. I wear like the very kind of streamlined clothes, like the spandex and because the whole idea is you don't want to have a lot of drag. You don't want to have a lot of resistance to the wind. So I do this a lot, and I bike a long way. When I get into shape in the middle of summer, I'm biking really, really far, like maybe 100 miles and more on certain days. But today, or it's Sunday, I biked up to Evanston and then I biked home. We had a little celebration to go to with friends of ours that live in a condo up there. So, and it was such a beautiful day, and I was kind of dreading the idea of sitting in the car to get up there and then sitting in the car to get back. And we were going to eat and have a feast. And I was like, I don't want to do all that eating and then just sit in the car. So I was like, I'll bike up, right? And I'll bike home. And I did that, but I also talked my son into going, which was great. So he biked with me on the way up to Evanston, which was about 21 miles. And for the way up, I think it took us about an hour and maybe 30 minutes to get up there. He does pretty well. He goes fast, but he was worn out. I wore him out. He was totally worn out by the time we get up there. But we took like one break around Fullerton, and then we kept going the rest of the way. I wanted to show you the little map though. Check this out. This is the map of where we went. I took this photo while I was riding. The On the way up, on the way home, it was getting sunset. On the way up, though, the water was just sparkling blue. It looked like the Caribbean. It was so beautiful, and the sun was like it was just gorgeous. So a beautiful day. And I was riding and trying to take a photo, and it came out a little crooked, but I still thought it looked pretty cool. So I'm showing you that. But this was our route. We went from this was the way back, but on the way there, we went from Hyde Park, which is way down here. You see those two big parks, Jackson Park and Washington Park, the little bits of green there. We went to the lakefront path and all the way up through downtown. That's downtown where the picture was taken. All the way up along the lakefront, all the way up to where it ends, way up here at the top of Lakeshore Drive. And then from there, you're on regular roads the rest of the way, kind of rolling along by Loyola University. I don't know if you guys are basketball fans, but there's a big college up there, and they're pretty good at college basketball. And then all the way up to Evanston. And once we got to Evanston, we had the feast and all that. And then once we were all done, I rode home. Elliot rode home with or took a drive home. He drove home. He didn't go both ways. That would have been a big day. But it was nice. I love biking. So if anybody ever wants to talk about biking or going places on a bike, I can tell you, I'd love to talk about it. I love that stuff. So anyway, that's the path. This is from my watch. My watch is able to track where we go by GPS and then give me a report like how fast I went. It shows me the map. It says what the wind was like and all that. And the wind on the way home on this ride, the wind was intense. Like it was like 17 or 18 miles an hour coming right at my face, but at least it was warm. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about today's project or um, today's activity, Mars task. So what I want to talk about today is the idea of these different shapes in symmetry. And one of the things about different shapes is how we categorize them, right? And one way to categorize them, a shape, is by how to classify. So we're going to say classify, right? You don't have to write this down. I'm just going to write it down. Classify shapes, okay? So some ways we do it. One, we're bullet point. Number of sides, right? That's important in terms of putting shapes into categories, number of sides. Number two, we would say angles. What angles? So angles, so like right angles, we're looking for 90-degree angles. Right angles, right? Angles, are there right angles like a square or rectangle versus not having right angles, right? So the types of angles. Another way we classify shapes is we talk about whether they are side lengths. So how long are the sides? So we could say length of opposite sides, right? Or of sides. And it's usually pairs of sides, right? So when I say opposite, I mean like a square has opposite sides, but a rectangle has opposite sides that are the same length. That's important. Look at this one here. Same thing. The opposite sides are the same length. And then another thing we look at is we talk about, let me see, we got angles, we got that. We say, are the sides parallel? So sets of parallel sides. Okay, so that's also very important when we classify. So this is how we classify kind of shapes and we start to talk about them, okay? And by that classification, we start to know which groups they fall into. So what we're going to talk about now is just a quick review on this idea of symmetry. So let me boost up this size a little bit. All right, there we go, that's better. So we're going to look at the square. The lines of symmetry of a square, if we look at this one, we know it's a square because all the sides are set up on a grid and all of the sides are 4, right? If I look at this square and I drew a line right here, right, straight up, and I fold it along that line, when I fold it, it will look the same as it did before. Like when I fold that over, you will see the exact same shape when it's folded over. That means that is a line of symmetry, right? And another way that we can think about symmetry is, folding is a great way to think about it. The idea that one side is exactly the same as the other. So another way to think about this one, another way to break this up, is to draw a line from here to there. Isn't that interesting? If I fold this way, it will be the same on the top. That part will fold exactly over to here. Isn't that cool? Okay, now let's look for 2 more lines of symmetry. In this one, there are 2 more lines. I want to show you, not all shapes work like this, but a square does. A square is kind of special. Another one is to go from these go from midpoint to midpoint, right? That's the midpoint and that's the midpoint of that line. You connect them, you have a perfect symmetrical kind of, each side is the same. But what about from corner to corner? I can also fold it that way. Think about the Post-it. I make it into 2 triangles, but they are exactly the same. Exactly the same. And then the last way, excuse me, I can do it, is to go from this corner to that corner. Also, by folding from here to there, it becomes symmetrical. Now, how many lines do I have, right? So we're going to count them up, and we're going to say, well, if I count these first, these here, 1 and 2, we did those. And then we could say we also have this diagonal, that's number 3, and this one is number 4. Now remember, since I already counted this one here, I don't count it again here. So this shape has 4 sides. It also has 4 lines of symmetry, right? So 4 lines of symmetry. Now, what I'd like you to do is look at some of these other ones. Like, for instance, H down here. Let's take a look at that. If I cut H from this corner all the way to that corner, and I make a straight line, that's not very straight, but if I made it a straight line, like, would H become the same? Now, we could say that these shapes, right, they both look like the same triangle, but when I fold it, will it fold directly on top of the other? Think about that for a second. So my question here is that a line of symmetry or not? Think about it for a second. See if you can figure that out. Now, there is some lines of symmetry here. Is that one? Now, next thing I want you to do, can you find a couple shapes in this diagram that are not symmetrical, that have no lines of symmetry? Can you find that? Think about it. I'm going to pause the video. I want you to try. See if you can figure this out. Okay, I'm going to pause it here. See if you can figure it out. Teacher, can you pause it? See if we got line of symmetry here. All right. Okay, we're back. Let's see if you figured it out. Did you figure it out? Which ones are symmetrical? I'm going to leave it there. You guys, I hope you figured it out. I think you should have. Which ones have no lines of symmetry of this group? Okay. Now, the next thing I want you to do on your task, and on your task, it's going to ask you to do things. I want you to do some sorting. And this is interesting. We're going to go to a new page. We're going to go to the sorting shapes page. And my face should come up pretty. Okay. I'm going to move my face over to this side. All right, that works. And this is a drawing, so this is different. What I did is I manipulate these tasks and make them work for you. This one is asking you to complete the Venn diagram, and you will go right in the document, double click on it, it opens up like this, and you can start to move stuff. So check this out. I can move this over. This is my square, that shape A. I can put it right there. They kind of give you that first one, right? So what we're doing is we're going to move stuff into the proper category. Now, the way a Venn diagram works is some things qualify into both of these things, like an overlap, right? So if we're going to classify all of these shapes, we have to look at them and say, what are my categories? So let's read through the categories. Over here, shapes with at least one line of symmetry and no parallel lines, right? So at least one line of symmetry, but no parallel lines. Okay. Or I'm sorry, not parallel, parallel sides, right? Okay. The next one, the other side of it, shapes with parallel sides, but no lines of symmetry. Remember we asked you to find a couple that don't have lines of symmetry? That might go in this category, right? But does it have parallel sides? Look close for that, right? And in the middle, it says shapes with at least one line of symmetry, with parallel sides. So this one says no parallel sides. This then would have parallel sides and one line of symmetry. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a, unfortunately, this category in the middle is going to have the most shapes. So that means whatever you decide goes in there, you want to, I don't know if this one goes in or not, but you want to basically move them all together. You don't have to put them on top of each other. Like, don't cover them up, but move them so I can see them all, and I'll know that they're kind of in that middle zone. But the middle zone is going to have a lot, right? And you want to think about it. Whenever you put a shape in, think about it. Like that square. Does that square have at least one line of symmetry? Yes, it has many. It has 4. And then does it have parallel sides? Absolutely, right? Parallel top and bottom, parallel side A, side B. And then at the bottom, or the outside here, this one down here, all other shapes. So if these 8 shapes don't fit into one of these 3 categories, put them outside of the Venn diagram, okay? All right, make sense? Now that's in your drawing. So none of the work that you're doing on this assignment has to be done in your notebook. It's all into the digital thing. You can do it all digital. You can open up the drawing, do it there. All right, sound good? You guys good with this? Venn diagram, right? Make sure that whatever shapes you put in these, they make sense, right? So I'm going to take this A and put it back over here, right? And then when you're all done, you hit save and close, and it shows up on your paper here, and it'll be complete. You'll see it. And then you scroll up to the top of the document right up here, and you have like the questions that you're going to answer, right? You do these first, but all these questions about lines of symmetry, things like that, okay? Looking for things that they have in common. So answer them. They're not long. It looks like a lot. It's not that much. You can do this. No problem. All right, my friends. I hope you're having a great day. Good luck with this problem. Remember, Khan Academy is up. Remember, this has to get done. Remember, I gave you an extension on your tessellation project up till Monday. So, like normal week. Like, I hope you're having a good week. I hope you have a lovely weekend. And I'll see you all soon. Bye, everybody.